Hello and welcome to another live recording of the M3 Bearcast. I'm here joined with the talented Mr. Drayton. What's going on, Greg?
Is that me? Oh, hey.
Yeah, so
I
we've been
name
doing.
myself that so I can give myself compliments.
Yeah, I heard there's actually like a movie out recently that people are comparing to the talented
Oh,
Mr.
what is it?
Ripley. I think it's called Sunburn. It's basically a similar plot where this
Okay.
psycho takes over this guy's life, but
All right.
it was a really good book too and a good movie. But
What the talented Mr. Drake? No, I want the people to know I name myself that the talented Mr. Drake, not because I'm a murderer or a liar, but I used to be a voracious reader, and I'm getting back there. Well, now I'm more of a voracious listener. So
no, it was one of among my favorite books, honestly. The Talented Mr. Ripley, Silence of the Lambs, and Gone Girl are like some of the best books out. Period. They were,
I want to. So are we sick? Sometimes I do not want to see the film adaptation.
Yeah.
Because I think the film in my head is. But we have a great topic today. Let's get started.
Yeah. Let's get into it. I actually had some other shit to shoot the shit up about, but when we do our live recording, if you're a patron, I post a link to our Patreon account. So
you're not gonna play the song for me, Malcolm?
I don't even have the song. You gotta remember that's
swag. My god, Patreon.
I gotta get
.com.
I gotta talk with Swag and get that. But I do have promos for all the other shows. Of course, you can catch Greg on Saturday at noon.
Yeah.
And of course, myself, which you saw in the intro, every Wednesday. But this is a recording of the M3 Bearcast. So I like to get into deep dives about the topics that I'm going to bring up on Wednesday, kind of hash them out with Greg. We might go over some of the things you are working out, but we're going to save that for Patreon because we don't want it to be too messy. That's what I look at it. It's like I don't want people to get burned out, but I also want them to, pay for the privilege of our banter.
Correct.
And $5 a month.
Right, and I want to give a shout out to the world's best assistant, Ty. Hi, Ty. He just came in the room, so it's like he's looking at me like, "Shut up, bitch! I mean the donut." Right, he wants to curse at me so bad.
But
I feel like the world's worst employee. But go ahead.
No, one of the funny banters I was going to hit around with you because I know how much you like Leonardo DiCaprio.
You remember that? I love Leo.
Yeah, so like he bought the rights to this book called Devil in the White City. I'm not exactly sure what role he wants to play, but he has been trying to get Martin Scorsese to make the movie for him. And he's like, no, I'm not, because Killers of the Flower Moon was his last movie. So there is like this sort of buzz about like who's he going to get to write and adapt the book, and who's going to direct it, because his first choice is bowed out.
So that is true. That was his last movie.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you've ever caught it, but Devil in the White City is a fucking amazing book. I'm pretty sure he wants to play the detective because he always likes playing the good guy. But
yeah, I think he'll make a good bad guy though.
Yeah, he would too. Yeah, I actually don't know the details about who he wants to play, but he's been sitting on the rights for this book for almost 20 years. So just saying, like it's one of his life's projects, right? Anyway, and it is a good movie. It's about a serial killer who was caught during the World's Fair in Chicago in, I think, the early 20th century. So it's a period piece. It's a true story.
He loves that. He loves that.
Yeah, it's a true detective type story, like very philosophical. It's very, very good, and happens to be true, which is kind of neat.
Just so again, Malcolm, those fans of ours who subscribe to Patreon, there's a link posted, and if you are not, if you just surfing bird the internet and you see us out there, please like, subscribe, and join us on Patreon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think at this point, I think we're gonna go to our Patreon. But yeah, check us out on all the social media. I'm gonna switch us over so that only patrons can listen. Of course, you can join us on Patreon at Patreon.com/mailmediamind. There
Okay.
are links on all of our socials as well. I think that you see there, all the symbols. I think it's even. I'll have to make sure I have one on the YouTube channel because that's an obvious.
I don't. You don't. You
I
don't.
need to fix that shit. Okay.
You don't.
All right, we're on Patreon now.
Okay. You don't.
No, I don't. I'm so bad at that.
Well, because when you were out, I was like, seriously, bro, how does he do all this shit? And I was like, oh my god! And like everybody was, because we just bought on new shows to the network, and I was just like, I have a splitting fucking headache. I was like, this. Well, Greg, where does this go? And Greg, what happens to this? And I'm like, I don't know. And I just don't. So.
I think I got some of the best advice from the guy who does that blog, the fashion blog, Pride XL, and the first thing he says, like, at first you want to do everything yourself, and then you burn yourself out, and then you try to be super delegation, and then that just only creates conflict. And there's some middle ground in between there where you allow people to do what they're going to do, but you also have a clear vision and boundaries about what is acceptable to you.
Well, the other piece to that is, I think fortunately or unfortunately, I tried. I do all I can to enforce your vision. You know what I mean? Like that is my whole. I'm like, no. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that because I do need that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, dude, like, you gave me, or I have, stake in the piece of the pie, and it's your vision. I always keep that in mind, and not saying that I don't want to make Malcolm sound like a dictator. He's not.
Right,
no. But all I want to say, welcome to someone just joined us. But it's one of those things that I always think. And real quick, I know this is not what we're talking about, but I just M3 is such a vision. It is such a vision. Yeah. It is so necessary for Black men of queer experience. I know I found a new terminology. I love it.
I know. I love blue words.
I'm an adult. I'm an adult now. Men of queer experience. If you join me, not this Saturday, but we do. I do have a new panelist I'm trying out this Saturday. So absolutely join me. We can test him out. His name is Bandit. He's great. I kind of lifted him from the streaming world. He's super, super funny.
Yeah.
And I think
I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be a great
people who have experience, who have ambition, who have a need for a creative outlet. That's really what I'm looking for. And then also, like, what can I learn from them? It's not so much always what they can bring to the show, and I do want to make sure they have something to bring.
Yeah, and so I say that to anybody who's listening. If you see me out in media world, I am looking. I am looking for guests. I'm looking for topics. I am cultivating what's out there. I am.
And you've been doing a really good job at it too. Like I have to admit, it's difficult. I've been looking for some people in the comic book nerd realm for Devon.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I got a couple people. Yeah, I think we should always be putting out feelers because that was one of the things that some of the response that I got from the panel when I asked them what kind of people they would be looking for. They told me that they're looking for people who review comics and movies and books like they do. And I said, okay, cool, I got you. So I found a couple.
Okay. And that's what you did. That is so dope. I love it.
I did, and I'm hoping. No, I'm just saying I'm hoping that he grabs at it, but it's kind of like, where do I draw the line there, right? Like, I'm doing this thing for your show. If you don't respond to it, do I go ahead and ask them myself?
You know what
I mean?
You know what I say.
Yeah, I do.
Right.
But I will reach out to them myself. I admit my perception on these things is limited because most of the times I'm picking guys because they're cute. I barely look at their content, but it works out usually.
No.
As strange as that is, it
Were
actually
you
works out.
were you at work when I had that OnlyFans guy on?
No.
Did you watch that?
I did. I joined mid broadcast, and I think the question I asked him was just simply, was the information, was the energy that you were putting into your OnlyFans business, reaping the benefits that you would like to see? And he said no. I think it was fair, but I think on another level, he seems to be, actually doing it. Like he's not a aspiring OnlyFans content creator. He considers himself on a tier 1, but I would say he's above tier 1. Tier 1 to me is below 100 followers. He had surpassed that.
He's almost at 200, actually.
Yeah, I would say the next step would probably be around 500. The next to be about 1,000, and then the next jump would be like 10,000. But even at 100, you have new problems that you didn't have at 50. I can say our following isn't that large. We're, but I can tell you once we reach that point, we will have new problems. And I think what's interesting about like a growth mindset or a business acumen is to understand that the business that you have now is not what it's going to be in the future. That, as your problems change, your approach has to change, your standards have to change. Like I think that's a reasonable point to make, is that I don't have much to ask of our panelists and so forth because we're not at a level to make such demands.
It's totally different.
Okay.
Totally different. I see it. Always ask for excellence.
Yeah, that's true.
In the vein of M3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I can see that.
If you tell me, Greg, we are here to promote Black excellence in the Black bear community, they don't give a fuck what I think about it.
Yeah.
If I sign on to do a job, I sign on, nobody goes to work and says, hey, I don't necessarily like the vision of your company. Fuck you. I'm out, nigga. You know what I mean? No, it just doesn't work that way. So I just want, I do.
Yeah.
I feel like I do all the nasty stuff that you don't like, the dirty work that you don't want to do.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm trying to get better at that. I'm really bad at social media in general, right? I'm not the type of person who posts a bunch of pictures of myself online. I don't really like talking online, which is funny as I am speaking into a microphone into the internet. But no, I don't. I really don't like doing that.
Is this thing on? Hello?
It is. But this is different. We're having a conversation. And
but we're going out to thousands of people.
Yeah, I know. I'll let you handle that.
as I'm eating donuts, right?
Yeah, no.
I'm just comfortable. We get the joy of, but we have reached a level where it's getting weird.
Yeah, it does.
Grocery store. Hey, I love your show. I just want eggs. I just want eggs.
Well, I told you that where it's a little weird having met the person I'm dating because of the show, which is not new, but it's the first time where they're not involved in the show. Like, it's like because I started M3 with my boyfriend, and I met someone else in process of making it. But this is the first time that I met someone ancillary. Like they had been watching for years.
He was a fan.
Yeah, I was like, oh god. That's really weird, but not weird because we have a lot of things in common. Yeah,
and because people feel like they know you.
Yeah,
and the weird thing is they I don't know about you. I always tell people, dude, the talented Mr. Drayton is a character.
Yeah,
and and I don't necessarily subscribe to all the crazy shit that he does.
Yeah. And I think not only that, like we are different people at different times.
Yeah.
So like, yeah,
God,
we
but
were.
speaking of that, Malcolm,
Mhm.
oh my God, it's almost fucking Thanksgiving.
Yes. I want to talk about it. Yes.
I know, and me too. That's why I segue to it because I am hosting my family this year for the first time in a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 10 niggas, um, and they offspring.
Yeah.
Especially this year because I've been recovering from a fall,
Yeah.
which needs its own broadcast on its own.
Yeah. It is.
I have been truly kind of enlightened, bro, since my fall.
Mm.
Because I have had to spend a huge amount of time with myself,
Yeah.
and my 50-year-old self is not my 40-year-old self, and so on and so forth. But the things that I've learned, and I really want to talk about this off camera,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the thing that I realize is that I don't. This is one of those. I always, I think about this daily. I always go back to when you tell me that I'm a different Greg from when post my mother and after my mother, and I think I have had a tectonic shift post fall via pre fall.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things. So when it came to Thanksgiving, like I haven't really been out of the house, and so it just shot out of my mouth. Hey, you guys want to come down for Thanksgiving? It
Oh
just shot
wow.
out of my mouth. It was
That's funny.
I just kind of looked at myself. I was like, "Who the fuck said that?"
Yeah.
And it was
You
me,
know.
bro.
The funny thing is, eh, what the way you talk about this, I've talked about this with a lot of people, and want to get your um, impressions on it. One of the things I notice about our audience when I do talk to them, which is rare, but I do.
And he does not. Let me clean this up. And he's not saying that because he does not love you all.
No,
He's
I
just
just
a
happen.
severe introvert.
Yes, exactly. And that is the thing that they find adorable about the show. In fact, I think most of the people who watch the show are themselves introverts. And I recognize that they see that energy or they feel that energy coming from myself or other people like, say, Devon. He's not really an introvert, but kind of. I know.
Oh
So
my
when I
God!
talk
Have
to
you
these
seen
people,
his social media? Is he an introvert?
strangely enough, he is. Strangely. I mean,
Oh no, sir. We're gonna have to disagree on this
I know, but
one.
we might have to.
I
We will.
know Devon's titties better than Devon knows.
I think his titties being out is like a defiance of the way that he would normally behave. I think it is a radical act of putting himself out there,
And see,
and
sometimes I think that act is just a changing of who you are. I think
yeah,
it's evolving because I know Devon of 5 years ago wouldn't have done that, but I think he is
yeah.
new, different. He's changed. You know what I
But
mean?
that's what I think
Like
about the
you
idea of.
changed. Like you
I
changed.
have. I'm just saying that we have a certain baseline of the way we behave. Like, let's say if you're a morning person versus an afternoon person. I happen to actually be a morning person.
You
Just like a
are,
lot
and
of people.
it fucking sucks.
I get up naturally at 7 a.m. I can
Yeah.
get up at 5 a.m. no problem if I have to.
He's like,
Uh,
hey. I'm like, no.
the difference is come around 10:30, I'm falling asleep, if I'm regulating properly. So that's something I have
Gotta
to
come
consider.
alive at around 9:30 or 10.
Yeah. And that's something that you can change, but your baseline will be the same always, right? Like I can work evenings. I could if I had to, and I have, but I will always be a morning person. And that's what I get about the idea of an introvert versus extrovert, which is that I'm not going to speak for Devon, but we might talk about that. But for myself, talking to our audience is a effort for me. And when I do, I'm usually rewarded by talking to someone else who has that same issue. That is what I'm usually yeah.
So a viewer and some people just hit me up saying they have a hard time getting on Patreon. We're gonna have to
Yeah, we're gonna work that out.
But we
I
have
actually
to
do not know how to log into it. So I need to give you the
I
credentials.
know. So just
I do. We'll work it out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go and do some troubleshooting. So
I'll probably just reset the password and give it to you. So, but,
I don't want it. Oh,
I mean,
I know.
We're getting to the point where we're gonna actually have to use the money that we're collecting. So I think you're gonna need the password. It's just sitting there. I've never touched it. It should be noted. Yeah.
Wow, it should be a substantial amount.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that this spring or summer we can actually throw an event and give something back.
Yeah, and so if you're watching, and then since some people are watching, my goal is to do live shows with an audience. So some of my goal is to do some of that to have you pay for you to come up for studio rental. I'm already pricing those things, and I think I'm going to do it around the time that you owe me my steak for the election. So
that's true. That's a good point. We could have
went over your head, didn't it?
We could have a brunch for when Trump is being arraigned or whatever. I'm not arraigned.
Well, no, and I think we would have a substantial size audience enough to pull it off, and our audience is building such. I think it's. Honestly, because right now, I like to stream as we record.
Yeah.
To give, they can only see me. They don't see a beautiful afro face. And we're up to, and I've only been streaming for about 10 minutes. We're up to 30 people.
I need to start multi-streaming. That's something else. I got to get into the technology. Like my phone, I can connect to my computer, but for whatever reason, the mic does not go into the phone. It's weird. So they don't hear, anyway. So, but one of the things I was going to say about introverts, though, and baseline is that we as introverts have to make an effort to change. You can't, it's not something that's going to happen on its own. If you're having trouble connecting with people, it's not that you need to be a different person. You need to optimize who you are. So like when you were talking about your fall and how you are no longer wanting to go out as much, I think one of those adaptations was to invite people in, right? Like you get your
right. Yeah, but that's because I don't want to be seen on this old man, Mr. Herbert Walker.
Right.
I don't. And
but you had enough wherewithal to bring people in. And I think that's the thing with people who are introverted, and like myself included, when I'm thinking about how do I make more friends, you kind of just have to go out and make a fool of yourself. You have to be awkward. You have to learn. You have to crawl before you walk. And that's not something people want to hear.
So the weirdness of that for me is you reach thousands of people a month.
Yeah.
But you are an introvert. But when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he honestly, undoubtedly bears his soul. I hold back. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, Johnson, Mr. Drake, and Gregory share very little in common. And I can when Malcolm, undoubtedly, we've been friends for 2 decades or more. So when he undoubtedly says, he says, well, Greg, I know you think such and such. I feel like the emperor has on no clothes. Stop saying that. Talk to me about how being an introvert and being a public figure, because whether we like it or not, we are both public, and we're strictly linked to M3. Well, go ahead.
It's kind of crazy making. I have to be honest. Cognitive dissonance is real. I thought about that with my mom and talking about her personality that she changes into when she's a teacher. So I'm going to tell you the name.
Instructional, maybe.
It was instruction. So, you know, she did attend Manhattan School of Music, and she had some of the world's best piano teachers. They were not nice people. So the people that she learned from were literally,
she learned.
she told me like one of her best teachers was a survivor of the Holocaust, had the tattoos from the camps. So you can imagine like what her childhood would have been like in, you know, pre-war, you know.
That is absolutely horrific.
It is horrific, and that sort of horror finds its way into their teaching, into their view of the world, and it made its way into my mom's way of teaching. Now, mind you, that it's actually a good thing when what you want to be is the best, you know, like you don't settle for anything less, you know. A minus, what the fuck? You know, like, how dare you?
So I have a question that's directed towards that. So, can nice people not be successful?
I think it takes some help for a nice person to be successful. Yeah, I think there's a truism, you know, that you can't verify, but it just sounds true, that no one became a billionaire honestly, right? There's a certain amount of deception, there's a certain amount of gamesmanship, a certain amount of callousness is required to accumulate that much wealth, so much wealth that it could literally impact the lives of millions of people. You know, to say that this is, you know, part of it. So I would say for a certain degree, you know, niceness is not enough. And it doesn't mean that it has to be within you.
No,
I'm saying that
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I hear you, and I hate to say this, but my business acumen, my business self, he is not a nice person.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Right, because what I do, I have to protect people's assets and my own.
Oh, yeah. I mean?
Like, so, yeah, you know what I mean? So the thing is...
this is business, right?
Yeah, like I get paid. And so now that I'm thinking about it, I think I take the same approach to M3. I think, you know, because you gave me the marching orders, and whether you're here or not, I stick to the game plan is, if the camera and the light is on, I need to see M3. That is just that is the goal. Like, we see that. I don't know why we see that differently, but you know, I don't know. And honestly, I watch some shows and I don't see enough of your branding on there, because no matter what my role is here, I forever see it as your branding, and I will forever see it as your branding. One of us can leave this world and it will forever be your branding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can go on hiatus for 10 months and you will get back. When I will still run your promo each and every Wednesday until you return. I mean, and so, but I think, long story short, is I really think that's a part of, you know, going to business school and getting an MBA. I really think, you know, you have to be open to changing the vision, but you have to at the same time stick to the plan.
It does. And so I think that's one of my call outs, and probably one of the things I need to do is to reach out to our audience, getting more involved. I will just, I mean, like when I get you the Patreon links and stuff, I'm gonna make sure to actually talk to all the patrons and
right, because it's no accident they send me all the nasty stuff, and they always email me. They always email me, like, you know, questions or and Malcolm is definitely a nice guy. So, you know, I am definitely seen as
but that's the thing about classifying us as either nice or bad. It is situational too, right? So like that's the point of why being a hard ass as a business person is not an issue, because you're in the realm, the situation, the milieu of business. But when you take that,
even in the entertainment realm, I'm sorry, like remember Steak and Potatoes? Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I actually had to, we're going to have to talk about Puffy and Cassie, right? About this.
Did Cream talk about it last night?
I don't know. I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but I'm pretty sure they did. It's all over the internet. Basically,
my problem with this is she waited 16 years.
Yeah, she's not the only one. So there was a law that was passed in New York that thousands of cases are coming up, and I think it's the statute of limitations is basically the reason why. It is a thing that happens though. I usually don't like arguing the facts of the case because they're all filtered through people who have agendas, right? And
right.
Obviously she has an agenda to make money. He has an agenda to keep his money from not being made. Like, these are agendas. What we can talk about, however, is the fact that there was this state of play within most industries, not even just music, but most industries, that if you had power, you had the right to exert that power to get other things that you wanted. I mean, so like the accusations that they're making about P. Diddy is not anything unusual. Cassie was one of the people on the label. They said they controlled the house that I lived in. They controlled who I could see, the people I could talk to, the cars that I drove. Everything that I earned was controlled by the company and by Diddy himself. And so, like,
that is not unusual.
And it is not unusual. I just think that people have to wake the fuck up and say that this is how business is done, because I think a lot of people are surprised, like, oh my God, the horror that someone with a lot of power and money might actually want to use that power and money to get shit they want. I mean, why else do you accumulate money other than to use it? Why else do you accumulate power, social status, unless you want to spend it on something? And he did on a lot of them. And it was really weird.
Listen, my thing is, Malcolm, when she was out there having a platinum hit, shaking her ass, she won't think.
I love those hits, by the way. That's just it.
Oh, Cassie.
I love some Cassie. Yes, I do. But I love some Diddy too. It's all good.
But my thing is, dude, if it was about money, wouldn't he would have paid her to go away?
He did. He offered $30 million. She turned it down.
She gonna lose.
She might.
I'm telling you, she is going to lose, baby. Because the thing is, I would have took it. Cause
I mean, everyone's saying that she should have taken it. But it's not about the money, apparently, for her.
She's going to lose because the whole thing is, like, she was on red carpets. They're gonna be like, you were a willing participant, and here's the tape.
Yeah, but here's the thing about willing participant. This is true. I think consent is absolutely important in a lot of scenarios. I think it came down to, for instance, the motivations. I remember we were talking about iPhone City, and at one point, iPhone City was a pejorative. It was an absolute disgrace to say that you built this town in Shanghai, China, where people just live there and make phones. They don't do anything else.
I thank those people, by the way. Thank you guys.
I do. And the funny thing is, of course, if you were to go by Apple's propaganda, they do have a higher standard of living as compared to the people around them. This, however, is the issue about China and about many, many places in the world. Any of us could do that, could exploit large numbers of people with just the meager income that we make, like paying them $2 a year would sound, it's like crazy.
Wait, I choked.
Yeah, no.
Is that the salary?
For some of the employees, yes. $2 for the entire year. But you have to remember the levels of extreme poverty. And the funny thing is, China is considering a urban rural gentrification program, and Apple is considering moving to Vietnam. because that's what they'll need to do because they won't be able to pay such low salaries. So what do? You and go somewhere else. It's absolutely reprehensible.
$50 a year. That is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but that is
my God,
above the average. That's what's so crazy, though. That is above the median income of people in that.
Mark, you're gonna have to send me that in writing. I mean, no, literally. And the crazy thing is, ladies and gentlemen, if normally if he told me, Greg, trust me, if you jump off this bridge, you won't die. I probably would do it. Because he probably knows something's at the bottom, some current's gonna take me away to heaven. But
you can pay underage children who are doing like non-technical work, like say janitorial work, which they do, pennies. Like, and we do the same thing for prisoners, by the way. It should be noted, like we're not much better.
But we pay them more than that, I know for facts.
I don't know about that.
No, they make like $30 a month.
Okay. I mean, whatever it is, it's still not anything that you can live off of. Think about it like this. If you're in prison, for instance, you need some really basic shit like toothpaste and body wash and mouthwash and, like shit to just make you feel like a human being, all of which is provided by the institution. And they barely give you enough money for that. And they know they're going to do that, and they don't have to. And that's the reason why.
Well, that's why they're online tricking and hoeing now. How do they get on? How do they get on Facebook and Instagram?
Security guards.
And
you get there, you pay someone to pay them to give you a cell phone. They don't make enough money either. So
and they're like, and the mothers be like, they hit you up, be like, yeah, I sure would like some noodles. Be like, I'm thinking they're in Kansas. When niggas go buy
when you see those cell phones, you got to remember it's possible that the guards are watching the room for them while they make the videos. You know what I'm saying? Of course. So
I don't know why, like at 50, stuff still seems
bunnies.
Yeah, I should know. This is why people smoke weed. I'm telling you.
And drink and do drugs.
The reality fucking sucks.
It does.
But but back to because I guess the title that we're talking about being an introvert on this show today. It's but the other motivator is when I feel like I've been in too long, I'm itching to get out. What I mean? Like last Sunday, I was all downstairs like a little kid waiting for his father who's divorced. When my friends canceled, and then we're gonna do it again and so I don't know. So like I really am torn with, I get to spend a lot of time alone, good, but I guess it's not really alone. I mean, because now, I'm up to 4 times a week doing this now. We record.
That's true.
Oh, and then, I do Saturdays. I'm on Swag's Tuesdays, and I'm on your Wednesday. So that's basically
4 times a week. Yeah, and or 5 if you count this, or 4.
No,
4.
It's 4. But
it's still a lot. Yeah.
Well, I love it, and it doesn't seem like work. Or even now when I get off of here, and then I meet with Swag because we have to produce my show.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit about that. I mean, like, what do you have coming up for your show? Because you might be able to just talk it out a little bit.
Yes, thank you. Gay slang is the main topic.
Okay, I like that.
And the origins.
Is there any slang that like disturbs you or like that stands out for you? That
it's a common word, but when certain people say it, I get offended by it. I hate when straight women call gay men girl or child or honey or no, I don't even like my other gay friends. I don't think you ever in our 20 plus years friendship called me girl. No. You're like this super tall, big, hairy, gigantic dude. You're just a dude. And
Yeah.
we talk to each other like friends, and
Yeah.
we talk about same gender loving things, but we never
Right.
misgender. And so
I think sometimes on the fringes we might. So if we're talking about like something really, really, really gay, we might say girl.
the only thing I've heard you say was child. That's it.
And that's not necessarily gay. That's like old black woman thing.
It's old
God
black
bless
woman.
the child.
Ooh, child. I know it.
I know one thing my grandmother said, and I said, you lucky that God protects babies and idiots.
Fools and babies. My mom was my mama shit. Ooh, God look after fools and babies. I tell you.
Fools and babies. Yeah, that was it. Fools and babies. God looks after fools and babies.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I guess I'm a baby. I'll take baby.
My mama was an old black woman from the South too. Don't feel bad.
Oh god.
The fuck the hell is going on? So
right.
It's just one of those things like but black gay lingo. And I'm introducing a new panelist. Okay. And so my goal is I hope he is so entertaining we can fill a Friday night slot with him.
Yeah.
That is my overarching goal. So I full disclosure, I told him, I was like, dude, if you entertain, like I will go online looking for this cat. He streams where I'm looking right now. He streams on a dating app that is very popular for people to stream because they give away money. Did you realize that?
Yeah, I got about $10 or so.
Well, I need to check mine.
Yeah, you can probably check Cash Out. It probably has quite a bit in there.
Thing? Yeah,
I have no idea. I would just Google it.
I like Cash money. I got money.
It is nice.
I am streaming. So listen, let me talk to the people I'm streaming to. So if you can in some of those, how do you collect the money from the situation? Y'all tell me about it. What's happening? Hopefully they'll get back to me. So we're talking about tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, M3 with your man, the talented Mr. Drayton. And we're interested in the new panel person. Oh my God! Of course, we're doing the Black News. I love the Black News.
Yeah. That's good.
So, and so with that, I was talking to you yesterday. I realized that nobody wakes up at 12 p.m. on Saturday. And I had to realize that they didn't want to watch CNN. I love news. So I feel you tune to my 90 minutes. I'm blessed to host. And I feel people, you like what I like. No, that is not the case.
No, it's not. And it's okay.
It's okay. So I've learned, and it's going over gangbusters, and I love it. I am presenting the news, and sometimes it's hard, in a little more a comical fashion. Yeah. I've introduced more sound effects and more people, and I scour the internet. So if you think you are talented and you have something to say, hit me up. Let's talk about it, and I can bring you on as a guest. And I do like rotate. We have a set number of panelists that we love. They are family members. Most of them have other shows on our network, but I do think. I think I brought in the last panelist because there was Jeremy.
That's true.
There's sometimes Lester. Who else did we have?
Trey. You got
Trey?
I don't know if his name is Trey. Oh god.
I need this clip. That is so awesome. Like, dude. Like, yeah, you remember Trey. Yeah.
Not Trey? Not Trey? Okay. Not Trey, no, the guy, he was paralyzed, legs,
No, yes, not Trey.
That's not his name.
No. Oh my God, that's my boy. He's gonna shoot me in the face.
That's why no one but one person is watching this.
Okay. Hey, one person, don't tell. Actually, it's Ty. It's the same name as mine from Ty. Yeah, there was him. And then we had guests like Dr. Natasha, which she's
Yeah.
itching to come back. Then we've had
Yeah.
oh, and on this show this week we're gonna have our monthly astrology readings from Brandon. It's
Okay.
November. So, get your, what moon am I in? Get that over.
Are Scorpios evil?
Yeah. People love that shit. Oh my god, you should see the numbers for that. It's like off the roof. Now I don't know it's because Brandon's cute with a great afro. I don't know. I think
No, I think there's a explanatory model for the human behavior. And the truth is, like, if you are using your good sense and observations, even with something that is what I would consider nonsense, you're not going to be too led astray. I think it ultimately comes down to like believing in yourself and your own observations about things. And then these tools that other people have used in the past, can, give you some guidance. But I think that what's interesting is people who are deconstructing, mental health jargon. Because a lot of times there are these mental health diagnoses, which are no more than a accumulation of symptoms. If you were to say you had generalized anxiety disorder, you would think like, oh, there's some mechanism that creates anxiety in someone, and that you could do this treatment. Like, no, it's just saying you have anxiety. It's not really saying anything.
No, heifer, no.
But there are plenty of other diagnoses that are, more foundational, that are substantial, and so I'm not saying that all diagnoses are bullshit, but like when I started thinking about my own diagnosis, like bipolar type 2, honestly, it's just describing, behaviors. It's not necessarily.
What's the non-type 2? What is the other?
So the original diagnosis were people who would fluctuate greatly between the two. Type 2 is when you stay at one or the other for extended periods of time. So I've had depressive episodes that lasted years, and manic episodes that lasted
one
months.
episode will last years.
Yeah. Versus type 1, people would come up and down for weeks at a time. Yeah.
I think I would prefer just to stay. I know it sounds crazy.
I know. I think we all would.
So I find you lucky in that. I was a personal story between us, but I'm not. I would probably, and I don't. This is one illness I don't have. I have many, by the way, but this is one I don't have. But knowing people, including yourself, I think I would rather stay and work it out than and I also would like to give one of my favorite cousins just committed suicide on Monday. He was a really, really outwardly happy person. I say outwardly because he presented as happy. You know what I mean? We just go with that. But the other thing is, check on people, yo. If you and sadly we had just talked a few days before. We laughed, and he made videos about the Eagles and all this stuff, and with his granddaughter, and it was just shocking.
Yeah, I think that's
his mouth.
I think that is something. When I think about the mission for M3 is to not only let people feel more comfortable in their skin about, who they are. That would include, whatever sexual ideas you have, sexual preferences, your mental health states, whatever. But also, like, I see a lot of discomfort dealing with other people's mental health issues. And I wanted to say that, diagnosis. Yeah, diagnosis is not an end point of understanding, right? It is the beginning. It's a way to connect you to other people. I thought about, honestly, when it comes to bipolar type 2, one of the books that got me understanding it in a way that I thought I would not was, I think it was the latest book Mariah Carey came out with.
You said that too. Yeah.
I was surprised at how lucid and clear the writing was about, and this is the thing that gets me and probably a lot of people. It's like, you don't know at the time that you're going through it.
Yeah.
Your personal perception is like, I'm who I am. I was who I was a few minutes ago. But if you were to rewind that tape back, you're like, oh no, you something.
Right. I want to make a comment about your last episode. So do you mind?
Yeah, sure.
It was amazing. Because you knew where you were, and so you were having a really good time. And you were, and like the word that would get you back to me was when I said whore.
Right. And I would just start laughing.
You would start laughing, and you would just be like, "Oh, okay." And it was just so joy because I, ladies and gentlemen, I spent hours on the phone just saying whore. My brother walks into my room. He says, "Who in the fuck are you talking to?" I heard you say "whore" just so many times. I was like,
mental health is weird. I told my brother. Really, we were talking about like when I was in a serious bout of depression, like it wasn't actually too long after we first met. And I think maybe 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
The show 24 was like a huge hit, back then. And I remember getting the first season on DVD. I always loved Dennis Haysbert or whatever his name is.
Dennis Haysbert.
Haysbert. Yes, absolutely. I could watch him for Allstate.
Is it the voice or what?
It's the voice, but it's also the deepness of it. He's just masculine for no reason. Just like
he'll grab you by your throat and be like,
yeah. He's just like, God damn, Anyway, yeah, like whenever he got like tough with one of his kids, I was like, ooh. For clips, he and his wife would have arguments. I'd be like, oh, I hate that bitch, but
keep winning. Go ahead, sir.
But no, we were talking about the fact that I would watch 24 on a loop almost. Like I would day after day watch it. And he was like, doesn't that cause like a serious amount of anxiety? Like I can't think about the dangers of the world all the time and, whatever. And I was like, at that moment, in that serious depression, that was helpful for me. It was a way to actually activate my body where it didn't really want to just sink into the sofa, which is what I was doing. I was sinking into the sofa watching 24, but I was also activating my body and mind in ways that would be unhealthy for someone who was not depressed,
But be clear, we do it in non-depressive states. I watch the Golden Girls way too much.
Absolutely. I love it.
Comfort. Yeah, I mean, I go to sleep with it because I don't have to think about it, and I'll wake up and I'll laugh because
Now, this is what I want to see, and I have not seen it, but I saw a flyer for it when I was online. Is a all drag rendition of the Golden Girls.
Oh, hilarious! I've seen several clips.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure those scripts are still around. I mean, just do the episode. Don't change them at all.
And now they're talking about like Blanche has an OnlyFans. So just imagine pushing the Golden Girls forward out of the late.
Oh, I would love it. Just make it campy as fuck. Oh god.
Right, and then the other thing is how progressive they really were. Like, one of my favorite things, Blanche discovers one of Dorothy's friends is a lesbian.
And
she has a crush on Rose. And so she comes in the room. Sophia, for whatever reason, Sophia and Dorothy are in bed. Oh, because they had company.
Yeah, I remember.
And Sophia and Rose Sophia and Dorothy always have to share a room.
Yeah. So
Blanche bursts in the room and says, "What are y'all laughing at?" And they were really, neglect. They really did not want to tell her, Malcolm. So it's like, let's say Diana. We're laughing because Diana is a lesbian. And Blanche says, "Well, what's wrong with that? Isn't Danny Thomas one?" So Dorothy says, "Lesbian, not Lebanese." And so lesbian. And she says, "Oh," and she says, well, why is that funny? And she says, well, she just knows first. She says, well, isn't that one woman? We know what it is, Blanche. So, and she says, well, what's so funny about that? And she says, and she has the hots for Rose. And so without thinking, Blanche's character jumps into her vainness and says, Rose, she has the hots for Rose, but what about me? And so and she goes on and on. So Dorothy says, get a hold of yourself, Blanche. What does it say? And she says, oh, okay. I love that because not only was it very open and accepting, but it went to the extremes of how dare she not, want me. And that show was very progressive in that way. We actually picked up another person on Patreon. Hey y'all.
Hey.
I
I
know
actually
y'all
posted the
would.
link this time. I know.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Look at you. Y'all came
But
in
yeah.
because it's after 3:00, y'all.
But yeah, like
but I'm gonna give I wanted to give my holiday advice. Stay away from religion, politics, and sexuality at the dinner table.
yeah, unfortunately, there's no convincing anyone
Of anything.
no, they have to want that.
So,
And
you were out, Malcolm, but
Mm.
a viewer, I had gotten about 3 messages. For some reason people trust me to explain things. I don't know why. But I was asked, they was like, yo, can you break down Israel and Hamas and all stuff? So, but somebody was watching and it was like, oh, how dare you? And maybe you should be a little more versed on what I said, well, maybe you should change the goddamn channel.
Yeah.
This is not what you want to see. This is not the hour for you. I'm explaining to the people who ask me. If you haven't, I'm not giving an opinion. And I never give an opinion. I mean, you may have an inference of what my opinion is, but when people are getting killed on either side, I have no opinion. Just stop it.
Yeah.
All of us are gonna be dead and gone. That little strip of land is still gonna be here. So I have no opinion one way or the other. But in the person was like, and they inboxed me. It was like, well, I'll stop watching. I was like, fine, fucking go ahead. Then they didn't. But
I think one of the things I might want to do, and I put this out there, is when I renew one of my subscriptions to one of these magazines, like I do subscribe to the New York Times and to the Wall Street Journal. I think I also subscribe to NPR. Like they have a subscription program where you can bypass commercials or whatever. I'm thinking about maybe seeing if I can get like a gift subscription, because I don't know if I want to do the news, but like to one of our patrons, if they're interested, putting in for a subscription to a news channel. I like the Washington Post right now. They have a very good podcast, which they just call the 7 in the morning. It's the top 7 stories. The top 6 stories, the 7 stories kind of feel good, but it covers everything from like local or say U.S. news, top stories like
CNN
that.
does 6, does 5.
Yeah. And I think it really does just touch on a lot of the major issues. And then they have a deep dive.
Apple has a really good one too.
Who's that?
Apple.
Oh, yeah. I did not know that. But then they also have Vox. This is a much more left-leaning organization that does a lot of good deep dives.
Now, see, the only problem with Vox is, so we have to be careful. We talk shit about Vox, but we have to be careful with the MSNBC or a Vox.
No, I said Vox with a V.
No, I'm just saying we have to be careful with the MSNBC or Vox because, they have a certain set of views as well. And I don't know what to tell you if you want a more even view, but I do like to know what's happening on both sides. Unfortunately,
yeah, that's what I say. On both sides, the best I can do is the bulwark. I can't go much further than that. Or even say, like you were saying, on MSNBC, a Republican lead, or someone who's I don't know, a former Republican host. I'm not much into television news anymore. Just I don't know why. It is well packaged. It's well.
Well, you know, I love that Nicole Wallace. So
Yeah.
she's
And
a former Republican.
I'm down to listen to her latest audiobook, or if she has a podcast. She does her show is made into a podcast, but
right.
But yeah, and I do sometimes listen to her. Yeah.
Rachel Maddow has a great new book out. And the thing about Rachel is I love how she presents through a lens of history.
I gotta be honest.
Go ahead.
I never enjoyed any of her books. I
read two of them. And I quit.
No, I mean they're just way too technical. It's not for me. You know, like she's very detail oriented in a way that even for me is a little much. You know, like I loved her work on prison reform, right? So she had this really good book on it, and I think that was what she was working on when she got the job at MSNBC, right? So it was a very detailed breakdown of certain things. I think she wants to put too much in it a lot of times. Like it's enough, girl. It's enough. You won the science fair. You have all the ribbons. You're smarter than all of us. I get it.
Shame.
But I know. I love Rachel stuff. But I do want to do before we go, and we'll think about it. The case against George Santos. Apparently, it looks like he is going to be kicked out. He
really?
already said he's not going to run again, but he may be getting kicked out of Congress right now. Yeah,
I think they stopped that. I think he's on.
But he already said he won't run for re-election. But there was a report by the ethics committee, apparently, that would bolster him being ousted. They literally said he was the worst congressman in the history of the United States. Like, no other congressman has been found to do this many things.
Well, you know,
you win, sir. You win.
He took the campaign money and bought OnlyFans pages with it. Love it.
I know. He bought all kinds of just stuff for himself. And this is the way someone put it. It's like there are, thieving, conniving, evil people. And then there are people like George Santos who just look at the candy drawer or whatever and just take it. Just like, you're not thinking about it. You're not some devious mastermind. You're just like, it's there. That's why I took it. Just like, I don't care about anyone or anything. Like, that's why I did this whole thing to begin with. And he'll start doing it from prison, right, for the rest of his life. Yeah. So anyway, the other thing is the election is less than a year away now. There's
just
barely. Our fearless leader is going to be turning 81 next weekend. Like, we put that on the things that are happening. It still doesn't bother you, or how do you feel about our standard bearer being?
We are an aging population, and he is
remarkable for his age. He is.
Yes, and he is older than the alternative. He is in better shape than the alternative. That's is true. More mentally acute than the alternative. He is more well versed than the alternative. I can go on all day.
Yeah, no, but that I get that. We're just saying,
right, when you have money and you're white, you can live different.
It's true.
81 so black is different. Yeah.
Here's the funny thing, and maybe I'll have to find this clip one day. There is a audio clip to be made of Joe Biden saying some of the most dumb things you've ever heard come out of someone's mouth. It's just because he's 81 and he's been in front of a microphone since he was 30.
Exactly. But there are even more things that are more recent.
Right.
That the former dear leader wants to say.
But this is the thing. But all those things was he immediately apologized, made up for it. Like his gaffe with Obama or whatever made them genuinely friends. Like I forget one of the things he said. Like,
big deal is what he said. Remember that?
Yeah, the fucking Obama.
Yeah.
Obama lent him $2 million, like out of his personal funds, because like something that was going on in his life at the time. He was a friend. You don't give a friend $2 million. You know what I'm saying? Like,
While he lent Joe Biden $2 million,
he lent Joe Biden $2 million.
a black man,
A black man.
lent a white man.
It's part of
Never
his financial
heard that.
disclosure. Yeah, like off of one of his books or whatever, he was dealing with the death of his son, all that kind of shit. Dude lent him $2 million.
And what to do what with?
I don't know. I
Like,
mean,
what
it's
the
his
fuck
personal
do you
business.
do? I know, but if I get my you had it.
But his
And I
son is
can't-
in legal troubles, you know.
Well, hold on, if I can't,
His, you know, like his son, other son died. He's running for president or wasn't running for president. I don't know. This was in that gap. You
so
know,
listen, if I came
yeah.
to you and I said, bro, you had it. I said, bro, you know, I need $2 million. You're not gonna ask me why.
I'm sure you asked why, but I'm just saying, like, there was a moment though in the past when there were comments that Joe Biden made about him being, you know, articulate that a lot of people thought was racist.
It was, but he's a man of a certain age.
He's a man of a certain age, and he went to Obama personally and apologized, and literally became his running mate and like one of his best friends.
That is the difference between a smart man and an idiot. We all make mistakes. And here's the thing about the American electric as a whole. Like, dude, and so Morning Joe, who if America, I can't stand Joe Scarborough. I think he is just the worst dirtbag on earth.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah, I said that to say he's just an asshole, but
right.
He said he did make a point the other day. He says this time in 2011, they had Obama losing by 30 points.
Yeah. It wasn't until he did have a Hail Mary, which was the economy slammed.
Right, and Joe Biden's Hail Mary keeps opening his mouth, and it's called Donald Trump. Like today, right? So, like today, real quick,
it's true.
Real quick, like today, the judge in New York put a stay on his gag order. What does he do? What the fuck does he do? He go right online and start talking shit, and then what does the judge say? See, I fucking told you. So they murder my fucking clerk.
Yeah, it's true. Like he has enough craziness.
He goes right to social media and does the thing. And the judge then says, well, you know what? I'll get another judge because this is just about, and we know he's going to have to pay $250 million.
Yeah.
We know upon appeal he's not getting away from it. And now we know that now his business is already under some type of weird conservatorship. Ain't nobody talking about that. And then we know for a goddamn fact that he's going to have to pay this $250 million in fines.
Yeah. Or he's going to be. Yeah. I mean, the thing they're going to do is just literally take his property and sell it and then give him the rest. I mean, it's not going to be a choice. It's not going to be like, oh, here's a bill due. No, they're just going to take your property and sell it.
He does not have the cash, people. He does
I know.
Not have and I keep
telling take all your shit. That's what they're going to do.
And so, you know, people always want to pick at me, if you will. Use logic. Joe was the oldest motherfucker running for president when he ran and won.
Right.
By 7 million, 8 million votes, okay? Donald Trump comes in and he's not making it better. He's not saying, oh, you know, he didn't say, I'm sorry for trying to overturn democracy. He didn't say, oh, that won't me up on them steps. I don't know what got into me. He didn't say, I'm sorry. This motherfucker is making plans to turn us into China. He wants and that he's openly saying it. So who do you think is going he's going to garner some votes? Yes.
Yeah.
But let me tell you my prediction right here, right now on this podcast. M3 Bearcast with your man Malcolm
Like,
Travis.
3 days from Joe Biden's 81st birthday.
3 days. My prediction is he is going to lose like a mother effer. Because let me tell you something. So. Yeah, and he's just not. You cannot run for president effectively and go to court. He black. He under indictment. He got a RICO charge. His baby mama is threatening to leave. You know, some whore is suing him for money. Bitch,
I forgot about that.
Bitch who pussy he grabbed in the store is getting more money. That's two separate things. That's not one thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's two.
Oh, did you hear about the leaks though that are coming out of Georgia?
Yes, and guess who did it?
What was that? I can't remember.
The black man's lawyer did it. The bald.
Oh, yeah. Because I guess that was the proffer is what they call it when you when you're trying to see if you have information, valuable enough to cut a deal.
Right. Yeah. And then the other thing was this fucking Fonnie Willis. They are just making her a living institution.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't. And then the media keeps going to this 7% of our population in the middle of nowhere. What do you think about that? I love Donald Trump. You are not talking to someone in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, in the suburbs of Michigan. You are not talking to.
That's the thing, though. Like those people in the rural areas have an outsized say in our system.
No, but I'm saying they're not going to the suburbs. They're going out to the middle of the middle and saying, and they don't even know black people. You know what I mean?
It's entertaining. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons I don't watch too much television news. It's just simply because most of the news is pretty boring for the most part, and it's you can tell it in a very short period of time. Like I feel like most of cable news could be summarized in a report that's 2 hours long. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do it all in one chunk, but like 2 minutes. How about I put it this way? About 30. I would say about a third of the information presented is valuable and presented factually in a way that is entertaining and so forth. The rest of it is kind of giving a lot. It's a large margin. I'm sure some programs are more or less. And I can't say that I get much.
What's happening?
I don't get too much better from podcasts or so forth. But,
no, but
it's a little better.
But all I'm saying is that God, Lord Jesus, I want them to stop a year out. We don't know. And so I have a friend of mine who is a well-known pollster. He's a well-known pollster, and he's like, "Dude, you believe this shit?" I was like, "Dude, I'm out here every day with this shit. I don't believe that shit." He told me, he was like, "Yo, Joe is gonna win handily. There is no alternative in the world." Fine. Well, look, now when everybody shows up on Patreon, we about to go. Hey,
we're recording. Okay, so I got this one, since we do have some more people on, about so Greg is doing a story about what gay lingo.
Yes.
So I found a video that I couldn't even transcribe because the lingo I didn't understand. Let's see if you understand half of the words that are coming out of this man's mouth. I'm gonna play it.
Non-black guy that only bangs black guys is an enemy. Non-black guy that only has black women or black queer friends is your friend. If he has a black scent though, he's an enemy. Twinks married to muscular black men are your enemies, but married to chubby black men are your friend. White guy that specifically bangs a lot of black guys is not your friend, unless he has a fat ass. However, if he knows what the phrase PAWB means and self-identifies as one, he knows too much. He cannot be your friend. Black guy who only bangs non-black guys is an enemy. However, he can be your friend if he enjoys Eiffel Towering dudes with other black guys. However, If the bottom in question has a kink for black guys, the whole thing is canceled. Do not pass go, do not collect 200, you're all enemies. Now entering black queer calculus, so stay with me. If two black guys are married and at least one of them is bald, they are open. If they both have hair though, they're not open, do not approach them, they're at the party to look sexy together. Finally, non-black partners are fine as long as they're handsome. However, bi black men, like me, must like black women. Thank you.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But there was this time where there's like boy math, girl math, and he was doing black gay math, I guess.
You know, I'm gonna have to send that. Go ahead and send that clip to Swag. We're gonna have to run that.
I will, yeah, because that was like what? BSWB, I guess that's a white boy with booty.
Yeah, because I don't understand any of that shit.
White boy with booty. Unless he has a fat ass. Yes. But if he calls himself a white boy with booty, you can't trust him.
He's not cool.
Apparently.
I don't know. Who knows?
But yeah, no, lingo is interesting. I think as we get older,
so what I'm doing is I'm introducing, like, from Paris is Burning, the meaning of shade.
Yeah. We once had that clip, but I could not find it to save my life. But you can find it again. Yeah, so if you're on Patreon, make sure to join Greg tomorrow at noon. This episode is going to air on Tuesday. I'm going to try to get this put out there. If you're a patron, you have full access to the show already, but I will also give you a edited version on Monday in case you didn't catch the live recording, or if we happen to record the podcast off air. Like, we're just trying something new. Like, this is a way of giving us more productivity, but also I guess we're kind of working out what we're going to do on the shows. And
yeah, so we're kind of including y'all in the plan because I need your help. Sometimes I get lost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tomorrow we're talking about like the meaning of shade and how gay lingo has been made its way into everyday vernacular. You know, and it's, but you know, people still have a problem with gay people. We you know, there will be no TV, radio, you know, none of that stuff without us. Entertainment. I can't tell you how, you know, the entertainment industry is not necessarily homophobic, but it does not paint a clear picture of the black queer male.
I would say it's in some ways conservative. I don't know if it's homophobic, but I think business in general is conservative, like small c conservative, in the sense that they don't like things that are different or stand out. You know, like,
well, then we all have to be RuPaul. They're comfortable with that, but they're not comfortable
they are
with Dennis Rodman or Dwayne, whatever his name is, the basketball player.
Right.
You know, they're not comfortable with that. You know what I mean? It's
they're out here calling Will Smith gay now, apparently.
Well, that's been or
bisexual. Yeah.
Well, his bodyguard got fired or whatever, but I know for a fact, since y'all paying for this, I can get y'all some tea. I know for a fact you are not gonna go to the Smiths, or the Smiths have everything under dual control. Even on a film set.
Yeah.
There's no entering doors with one person. One person got a key. Yeah. Right. So they're very aware of shit like this.
Right.
And so Mrs. Smith said the other day, as they were chasing her down, yes, I think so, Lumberjack. Listen, that she said she's gonna sue. And her and Will are going to sue. And he's going to lose. Bodyguard, if you broke now, you're going to be broke-er. Shut your fucking hole, because you don't know what you're talking about. Now, these rumors, true or not, have been out there for years, Malcolm. But then you're going to go and fuels the fight. Good luck, bro. Hope you got a good attorney, motherfucker. Because let me tell you something. You going up against almost $1 billion, and they going to burn your mother. And where you going to work at?
Yeah.
What you going to do?
That was one of the things I always thought about. I always thought of Will and Jada as that exceptional couple because they stay together for so many years. And so I can see how a lot of people might feel some kind of way about Jada now, talking about how they broke up years ago and how their relationship was fairly open, during that time.
But if that's what they needed to stay together,
yeah, I mean, they still seem like a
man like penis. How many of us out there don't like penis?
yeah.
I mean, why does he have to live by a different standard? There are tons of married men that like dick.
Yeah, this is true.
It don't mean
But
they
it's
don't
something
love
that
their
people,
wives.
people don't want to admit that, though. Especially like even straight women who, will have these fantasy crushes on men. Like they definitely don't want them to be anywhere near any dick.
Youngin, that's their problem. Like, dude, let these people live. Like, if you can hear me and you're a married man and you like penis and your wife is good with it, live your mother effing life. Live it. Love
Yeah.
it. Get you all the dick, just roll around in the dick, just revel in the dick, just dick. Just do what you gotta do.
So I'm gonna
always hold on one second, man. Let me give our M3 disclosure. As we always say on M3, it's about communication, and you have to communicate about what is going on in your life. Go ahead, Malcolm. Go ahead and close.
Yeah, and so we're gonna sign off, but for Wednesday, this week, I'm gonna do a little talk about making friends and being. We touched on it earlier in the podcast, but about sensible ways that introverts can meet people. I'm gonna maybe actually talk about making room in your schedule to go interact with people, because that's the thing that introverts do not do naturally. We're not going to be the type that goes out there. So I'm gonna make it a point to do it in person and online, and I'm gonna maybe bring that experiment to our broadcast, which is going to be Wednesday. I think at this point I'm gonna sign off. Make sure to check us out on all the channels, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And I will catch you in the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for having me. Peace.